Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us again. This is Sunil Chandy and Food for Thought. We're on Food for Thought, a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church. Thank you for joining us and being a participant of this way of connecting in the midst of this global challenge. And so we have some folks who are on board with us, and we hope that you'll say hi. Today is not a pre-recorded session. This is actually live. I know the last couple of days we've been having some pre-recorded sessions, and that was because we had to do a couple of things and so forth. And so we hope that you are here with us today and that you will say hello. And they will come and you will say hello, hopefully later on, if not now. But I do want to say that we have a great show for today. We'll be talking with two very special people in our congregation, and they are just amazing folks that are going to give us some really important information as we go forward into this in this Advent season as we move closer to Christmas, and we'll be talking about the events of our congregation as we celebrate Christmas together. So let's begin a little bit with this food for thought for today. And I'm thinking, I'm really, of course, I use this time to just help me to think about the sermons. And of course, the big sermon that's coming up is the Christmas Eve sermon, and what we'll be doing in the Christmas Eve service in particular this year, because it's not going to be quote unquote normal in terms of what we're used to at Christ Church. But I want to focus in. This morning I was doing morning prayer, and the words that came out is the ones that Isaiah talks to us about. Isaiah chapter 9 verses through to 2 to 7. But the very beginning of it, the people who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who have lived in deep darkness, on them light has shined. Light has shined. People who walk in darkness have seen a great light. And then, of course, that kind of moves towards that John's Gospel, which reads, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." When we get in the Bible, when we think about darkness, it really becomes a metaphor for many different things. It's just not like the physical blindness that you might have, but what it points to is a sense of blindness of the soul, a dark period of the soul. And so whenever people are in the midst of challenge, they don't feel a sense of hope, a sense of, and when they're in a challenge that is not of their own creation, right? And even if it was a challenge of their own creation, sometimes you feel hopeless. You feel like you don't know why you're doing the things that you're doing, and you don't know if you're going to survive through the present moment. And so this is the darkness that is the metaphor, that this sense of hopelessness is the metaphor. It uses that metaphor of darkness. And in Jesus's time, or the time of Jesus's birth, there was the darkness of oppression. There was the Roman Empire, and who has occupied the Israelite nation, and so much so that Mary and Joseph have to be traveling while they're about to deliver the baby Jesus. There is this in the time of Isaiah, when Isaiah is speaking about the people who walked in darkness, there is the darkness of oppression of Babylon. Babylon has enslaved Israel and Judah now, right? And is taking the best and brightest of the nation and moving them to another place, kind of almost taking away their identity and who they are. And so there's a sense that you can't do anything about this. And when you feel like you can't do anything about it, you're in a dark place, and there's no hope, there's no enthusiasm. We could also feel that same sense of darkness now. I mean, Whether we're dealing with this global pandemic, you know, we're dealing with death. Um, the last 3 days, I've been at the hospital almost every day, uh, visiting a person on hospice, and there seems almost like there's what can you do? Uh, and then there's despair, but it's in the midst of this darkness that the words of Isaiah come out. People who walk in darkness have seen a great light. That light is hope, right? Um, for us, that on Christmas, we celebrate the hope that a child brings, the possibility of a new life that could change the whole story, that could give us a sense of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, it's really interesting. Enthusiasm really, it comes from the root word enthao, which is in God. Uh, Enthusiasm is based on hope, right? And our hope in God, that somehow we're going to find a way out of the darkness. We could see the light. Light is very interesting. In the darkness, we have these wonderful metaphors. Light at the end of the tunnel. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel right now with this global pandemic, because the vaccines are coming, right? They're still going to be challenged, right? The thing about light and darkness is really interesting. I think one of the things that we always think that light, whatever it is so small compared to the darkness. And it does seem like that, right? If you light a candle, uh, say at a candlelight Christmas Eve service or something, it's like, and the whole room is dark. All you see are just the little flames. But the interesting thing about it is that it's not that that the darkness overcomes this light. Whatever light it is at whatever small light you have, it kind of intrudes on the darkness, doesn't it? It's not like the darkness overwhelms the light. It actually, the light shines right there, and it just kind of pushes back the darkness. It's an interesting. If you look at a candle and you light a candle in the dark, you'll see that it's the darkness is kind of dissipating with the light, and so it kind of reminds me that hope, even in its smallest component, pushes back against the hopelessness, against the darkness. And the other thing about it is that in the Gospel of John says the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. It's true, but also what we find is that hope, once we start to have a little bit of hope, it starts to grow larger and larger, and then all of a sudden we could do things that we never imagined before. And we could find hope. We could, even when we're in a place of total despair, we find the energy and the possibility of doing something, of getting up, of living, of even finding joy again. I think Christmas is such a great season. And this year, it's going to be an amazing Christmas. It's not going to be the normal Christmas that we have, but it will be a Christmas in which hope will be present, and we'll be spreading that hope to the world around us. And we'll be feeling that sense of God's closeness behind us, with us, within us. And then we'll be able to get up and move forward and live and find joy and laugh again. Today, we have as our guests, you love these people, Jackie and Caswell. Jackie is going to talk to us a little bit about what we're doing at Christmas, and we're going to have this great conversation about all the questions that, because it's going to be a little bit different Jackie's going to talk to us about some of the questions that have come up among our parishioners and among all of you who might be interested in coming and watching us and participating in our services. And then Caswell is going to be talking to a little bit about to us about the needs of our community as we're doing this really different type of ministry. And so, Ben, please invite them on. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. And I think Caswell is coming on board. If he's getting there, he'll be coming soon.
Caswell has something at 12:15. He'll be back on in a couple minutes.
Oh, he'll be back on in a couple minutes. All right, yeah. Thank you, Ben. All right, good. So, Jackie, tell us what it's always great seeing you. I think I see you almost every day, and it's wonderful. I talk to you, and so tell us.
Enthusiastic about it.
What's that?
Try to sound more enthusiastic about
it. Oh my God, I love talking to you. You're so amazing. You really are.
But you were just saying, sorry, I had to switch to my phone because apparently the sound system on my computer just died right before.
Oh no, really?
But 2020 is not over yet. But I really liked what you were saying about Christmas and how it's not going to be a normal Christmas. But in your letter, which I found really inspiring, which I read a bunch of times because I was editing it.
Yeah, that's right.
You said that, Christmas was, although we have a tradition and, we follow it and it has some sort of similarity every year, it's difficult. It's always been a time of sacrifice. And I think in years past, we talked about, just you and I was having conversations about, how complicated, rushing around, getting all of the parties together, and you're just so tired, and gift wrapping and cards, and trying to keep this sense of normalcy and consistency every year, and you want to make everything perfect. And I guess we're trying to do that, but we can't do what we normally do.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just that and the normal things, quote unquote, the normal things that we do, the things that make us think that Christmas is perfect. It's almost never perfect. I mean, we're always running around, and then it's kind of like then we get to that service, then we're like, for me at least, the Christmas Eve service, it's like, and I could kind of enjoy being with the people that I have around me, and it's just really wonderful. But this year, it's not going to be that way, right? In a sense, and Caswell's here. So hi Caswell, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing good, really good. So we're talking about what's going to be different this year in Christmas, and so Jackie, let's go over that a little bit, and because we have like three services, right?
Yep, we have 3 services, and I also want to talk about Christmas lessons and organ carols. Okay, so I have been fielding a lot of questions, and there is definitely some anxiety about what to expect for each of our services. So we usually have a Christmas pageant, 5 o'clock every year on Christmas Eve. This year, our Christmas pageant's already done, and you can find it on our Facebook and our website, and in the e-blast. And so instead, we are taking the candlelight part of our service that's normally and we can't light each other's candles, so we're not even doing that inside. We're doing it at 5 o'clock outdoors at 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. So we're going to have a soloist. So of course, just like our regular services, we're going to ask the congregants not to sing. George Kent is going to be providing the music, and depending on the weather, you can be outside. You could jump into your car. We're going to, try to get our system working where we could do a low grade FM broadcast into your car. And if it's just too cold, run into your car, jump on your cell phone and stream it, because Ben's going to be making sure that we have that service streamed. If you want to be, just play it on your smart TV or your phone, so you can partake in that There won't be a Eucharist as part of that service, and that's one of my many questions, trying to navigate the candlelight,
Yeah.
in person. So
I think I'm like looking forward to that service actually, because it's so unique and different. I mean, when we were talking about it in worship, we wanted to have some way in which families could come together, and they could actually come together in their groups outside. And what we're and I love the idea. We start off with prayer. We'll start off with a prayer with a lesson from one of the lessons. We'll have a short homily, very short, and then we end with this silent night with the lighting of we'll have we're trying to work it so that we light the nativity scene. It's going to be near the nativity scene and then the Christmas tree, and we're trying to see where we could light it together as we're lighting the candles. And again, it comes to this idea about in that darkness, right at 5 o'clock, 5:15 or something, we're going to have right in the center of town. We're going to have this. It's dark, and then all of a sudden we light that candle, and it's going to be our way of shining away or pushing away the darkness. You know, all of us in mass. I think it's going to be beautiful.
yeah, I love it, and I think that one will be well attended. But I'm still the administrator. I want to talk about the fun parts, but every in-person service that we do, we need to do contact tracing. So you could absolutely sign up to it in person. If you don't show up, that's totally fine. It's only for you just need to go to our website, and you'll see where you can click on the in-person reservations, and you'll see a whole bunch of choices for all the things that you can do. And you could also sit from our e-blast. I don't know how Caswell's doing on time, if he wants to skip in and do his part, but I think you're going to be waiting in line for a while. So
I'm already done.
what?
Yeah,
And it was
you're done already.
I went in. I went and got a COVID test at CVS, and it's really simple. You just pull into the parking lot where I'm sitting, and you knock on the door, you swab your nose, you hand him the thing. I'm already done, so I'm here.
All right.
I waited for an hour.
All right. Well. So tell us about the 10 o'clock, and then because it's different from even the 10 a.m. in the morning.
Right, and I threw a lot of information at you, and you know that you can call me or text me anytime and email me and if you need to clarify anything. So 10 o'clock service, 10 o'clock p.m., Christmas Eve. Also in person, but this one's indoors. We are not doing the candles because we're going to be too close to each other, light them from each other. But we are having the Eucharist. So if you want Eucharist for Christmas, this is your only chance to get it in person. There will be spiritual Eucharist on Christmas. But if that's this part of your Christmas tradition, please come to the in-person service at 10 o'clock if you feel comfortable. And then there will be a short homily.
No, well, that's going to be the regular one.
There will be
That's going to be 8 to 12 minutes.
that one. We'll just call it a sermon.
The unique thing about that service, I think, is really important that we have to. It's just going to have the Christmas music. It's going to have Michaela and George actually on the organ, and then of course we're giving the Eucharist in the form of bread. Now the thing is that we need to have people sign up ahead of time because we only have 70 spaces, right? I think that's
yeah. So this is 70 people as long as we're organizing all of the family groups there. So if one person sits in a spot for a family of 4, that's taken up. So we need to make sure that we know how many people are in your group when you make your reservations. And you could do all of that at our website. That's George.
Yeah.
Bye.
So I mean,
but
and it's
we have space. 70 is a lot of people for, anyway, and most people have been streaming, so but get there as soon as possible to get your reservation.
Right. I think that's the most important thing, I think, for us, and especially as we're experiencing lockdown in many different places. But I think the quicker you could sign up and make your plans for Christmas Eve, the better for you and for our church as we deal with all of the restrictions that we have to deal with.
Absolutely. Okay.
And of course, it will be online. Everything is going to be online, available, even outside we call it the 5 p.m., like you suggested, will be online. And then the next day, on Christmas Day, we have a service too, and that's going to be only online, right?
Yes, but don't feel too bad about it only being online. Most people don't really come to that service anyway. And I realized when I was a kid, never wanted to.
Hey, now wait a minute.
I know. Love you.
Yes, I love my church, but I go on Christmas every year, and I get my own section in church, not even my own pew. So it's fine that we're streaming. Watch it. Turn the TV on and have it in the background while you're opening all your gifts.
That's right. Well, and that's going to be a really beautiful service too, I think. Then what about the 27th? We're doing the Christmas lessons and carols, and maybe Caswell, you could jump in a little bit about that one.
Yeah, make sure we say Christmas lessons and organ carols. We're not allowing anyone to sing, and we do not have a soloist, but it's going to be beautiful, and it's just going to be accentuating George's playing. He's in the background, and he's paying me to say how beautiful his playing is.
Well, you could ask him, because I think he did tell me that he might have the soloist come and sing for us for that organ lessons and carols, and so that's what he last told me. So it's constantly developing. But
why don't you ask Caswell to talk about it, and I won't put George on the spot. I'll mute myself.
All right, good. So Caswell, let me ask you a question. In terms of, are we going to have that put on the radio?
Yeah, we're going to have it on the radio on WBLQ, and we're going to have it streaming. So it'll be lessons in organ carols, and it's actually a service that started in 1918 at King's College, Cambridge, England, and it was broadcast live on BBC, which it still is. It's like this huge thing in England every year. It's no longer just on the radio; it's on television, and so it's fitting that our local version. Of course, they do it on Christmas Eve. Their lessons and carols over there in England, but we do 2 lessons and carols normally. So it's going to be on our local radio station. So we're copying England. So we don't have the BBC, but we have BLQ.
BLQ, which is amazing, which is great. This is the first time I've had it in this. I've had that experience here at Christchurch Westerly for 6 years, so it's great. And the time is 5 o'clock, isn't it? 5 o'clock. Yeah, I should remember. I'm going to be there.
Yep, and you attend this in person, but once again, the same restrictions apply. You could already sign up. It's on the website, and it's also on our e-blast.
All right, good. And so did you check out? What did George say? Did he say anything about the music?
Michaela is going to sing.
Oh, good. That lady. So if we've, I've been really appreciating our soloist, Michaela, and George found her, and she's a student of George's, and it's just amazing. And so she'll be singing with us for the lessons and carols, and of course she'll be singing the Silent Night for us at the 5 o'clock service, and then leading our singing or being the soloist at the 10 o'clock on Christmas Eve too. But all of this, as we know, all of the things that we're doing now is different from what we usually do, and because of that, we're doing a lot of this a lot of our connection to our community and beyond because we're online, and there is a cost behind there, and that's one of the reasons why Caswell is here to tell us a little bit about that, because we had a vestry meeting yesterday, and it was amazing in terms of its creativity. What's that?
I need Ben to take me out of the stream. I gotta go fix the copier.
Okay, all right. Bye. So tell us, Caswell, what happened at the vestry meeting? Because you're a warden, and you're going to be soon senior warden as well, and this is an important time for us as we do ministry in this most challenging atmosphere of the COVID-19, and we've had to adjust ourselves a bit, and even our finances a bit. So
yeah, I mean, money is not something that Episcopalians like to talk about. I don't think a lot of people like to talk about money, but I remember our senior warden, Betsy Rice, her late husband, Father Marshall Rice. I remember that that your predecessors would call him in on the Sunday when he was supposed to ask for money about stewardship, and the rector would not preach that day, and Marshall Rice would preach that day, and he did a great job many years, because it's a subject it's hard to talk about. But I thought that, you know, if we put it into kind of layman's terms, because we have so many people that watch these broadcasts, and Christ Church doesn't operate in some kind of vacuum. And we're not Trinity Church Wall Street with a $30 million endowment. So we have literally, we have to figure out how to make a budget for the year 2021. And I think everyone's having that trouble. You know, your personal budget. I know on the town council, we don't know what to expect. We know that state aid's going to be cut, things like that. So it's a discussion that we have to have as a church. So what we do every year is we have a great committee that's called the Stewardship Committee, where for a few weeks every year we say to people, okay, listen, can you tell us what it is that you can give us next year? Because that's how we have to build our budget. We need about $400,000 to pay for the lights, the heat, the staff. This streaming stuff, just for people to know, is cost us about $30,000 this year of money we just didn't anticipate we would have to spend. It was well spent money, but there is no sort of well to go to get the money. So in our stewardship, you know, we're not doing badly. Christ Church is strong. We just raised $1.5 million for our capital campaign. So I'm not on here to say, you know, the sky is falling, but what I can clearly tell you is that we are down in terms of pledging from last year. So there are about 30 people or families that pledged last year that have not responded yet for this year. That's 30, and that's equivalent to like $40,000-$50,000. So my plea is that those folks would at least give us a yes or a no and say, listen, this is what we can or cannot do. We also have lost, due to people moving or to death, 8 pledging units for the parish. So right now, that puts us down about 38 pledges from last year, and we cannot operate in 2021 if that's the case. So what I wanted to do was sort of come on and to sort of say, listen, if you've pledged in the past, we need you now more than ever. But if you've never pledged or can't quite get your hands around what it even means to pledge to the church, this is the time that we need you. All we need is for folks to say, listen, in 2021, we can commit $50 to Christ Church. We can commit $5,000 to Christ Church. Whatever the number is, it's not so as important as the amount of people. So if you're watching this, if you've enjoyed these broadcasts, you know, even if you live in Texas, we need you. We need you to say, this is what I can commit to 2021 to keep this going. And I really think that with the thousands of people that watch these broadcasts, that we can bridge a gap between now and the end of the year, which is 2 weeks, of about 40 people. I think that really should be the goal, is to get 40 more pledges. The 29 outstanding, replace the 8 that were missing. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. Look, we just had a Christmas bazaar where nobody could come in person, and we raised $13,500 so far. There's still stuff left. But that's amazing to be able to do that. And so I just thought that, look, in the next week or so, I would just come on as your, you know, the junior warden, which in Episcopal language is vice chair of the board, basically, and as your incoming senior warden, and say, look, you know, it's uncomfortable, but we need to talk about money. We're doing well, but we are not going to be well in the long term if we can't, bridge that gap. So it's a challenge to you. I put in my pledge, and I need you to put in your pledge for the health of Christ Church, so we can go forward.
Caswell, you say, you speak the truth to us. I mean, it's our Christ Church is a very wonderful church. It's got great creativity. It's got the light of Christ in it. We're doing good all over the place. Even Thanksgiving was just amazing. We fed over 250 people in the community, and people look to us to be a beacon of hope. But it's hard to do ministry. It's hard to do ministry especially with the financial challenges of this particular moment. And I thank you. I know you're right. You're my Marshall Rice.
Well,
thank you for doing this. But at the same time, just letting people know that whatever if they can give or if they can't give, that's okay. Christ Church will still be there, shining this light. We're just going to have to figure out how to shine it in creative ways. But we could use a lot of help, of course. We could use any help that we could get. So for those of you who might be watching from Texas and from Florida, from Arkansas, maybe from London, from Dubai or India, this church is no longer just a regional church now. This is your church. If you've enjoyed our ministries online, then you're part of our community, and we hope that you will help build this community, and so that we could shine the light of Christ to the world around us. Caswell, I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for Betsy. You both are wonderful wardens. I'm so grateful for the energy of our vestry and our staff, like Jackie and Dorothy and Christy and George and Eric, the whole gang. I'm just proud to be your priest, and I'm grateful to God for that. And thank you. And so you're always roving around. I love it. Love it. It's beautiful.
That's stuff to do, man.
Yeah, I know. It's great. God bless you.
You see on the bottom, this is how you can give electronically, christchurchwesterly.org. So if there's any word you want to use, pledge, tithe, offering, give us some money. So Michelle just said, where do we submit our offerings? And that's wonderful. And do us a favor, if you would, just Father Sunil. Sometimes we ask for money for specific purposes. And so you mentioned Thanksgiving, and people wrote checks and put in the memo, Thanksgiving, and that was put in that account and locked in. What we're talking about is money for the general operating of Christ Church, which includes all aspects. So if you do want to send a check to 7 Elm Street, you can write pledge 2021 even if it's a one-time gift. A pledge doesn't have to be weekly. A pledge could be for the whole year. This is what I can afford. This is what I can give you. And you can give it that way in a one-time thing, or you can fill out a form and say, listen, I'll give you $5 a week for the next, year. But so the easiest way to do is to make sure that our treasurer knows this is for pledge. And that's the word you should use, 2021 pledge, rather than just sending a check and then they might not know where to apply it. So that's what I would hope that the folks watching and the person that just asked, write down that or send us an email saying this money I sent you is a pledge, and we would really, really appreciate it. Again, we want to get 40 more units. It's called a unit. It's because you don't know if it's a person or a family, but we want to get to 40 by the end of the year, and that's our goal that we're going to be talking about for the next 2 weeks.
I think it's important because and the pledge for next year is important because then it gives everyone some courage and some hope as we build the budget for next year, and as we think about these online ministries, how we handle it, and how we look forward to the future. Yes.
And just a little bit of a reality check for folks. normally at this point in time, as you know, Father Sunil, we would have the budget for next year. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the finance committee said we're not going to actually be able to set a budget until January, hoping that in the next few weeks these pledges come to fruition. So we're behind the ball game. It's because of the pandemic. It's because of a number of reasons, but we have to actually put off the budget until the next year. And that's why we need your help today and in the next 2 weeks to bridge the gap of 40 pledging units between now and December 31st.
Yeah. Thank you, Caswell, and folks. Thank you, and hopefully you'll help us.
Thank you.
And of course, let us end our time, normal time, with our prayer that we usually say. It's the prayer for written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine. It's for this particular pandemic and challenge that we have that's affecting the world. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, who traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness, at your command the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, and our caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, remember, light is not overcome by the darkness. Light intrudes on the darkness. So spread the light of Christ to the world around us, around you, because the world needs it right now. Thank you.